This conference will now be recorded.
Hi, good evening. I will start the session. Prabhu, you send the defects to me, opencard.com. Yes, that is the valid defects only, which you identified. Unlike you sent a mail, okay. Mail I didn't open. I will check it. Okay. Shivas, Shivasri, do you find any defects there? Open card. Yesterday I given exploratory testing assignment.
Yes, sir. I missed the link, sir.
Okay.
I'll send you. Can you please send me the that link again, sir? I'll send you. Okay.
The chat box I'm giving it is try to copy. Okay. Now, yesterday, just I introduced about the how the testing process in the real time. So with a block diagram, I explained. Now, today we are going to see how we do formalized testing in an organization level. Formalized testing in organization level, how we are going to perform. This concept where we are going to call software or system testing life cycle. Software testing life cycle or system testing life cycle. So earlier we discussed about the software development life cycle. The development life cycle describes the development process of software project or product to fulfill the client requirements within a specified cost and time. Various phases we see in the software development life cycle, such as requirements collection, analysis, design, coding, testing, deployment, and maintenance. Now today we are going to see software testing life cycle or system testing life cycle. It describes end-to-end activities performed by separate testing team. It describes end-to-end activities performed by separate testing team to accomplish the testing activities for a project. That means we try to understand as a separate testing team from the beginning to end what are the testing activities are going to perform will be described. This software testing life cycle. Here also we have the various phases. We have the various phases involved in the software testing life cycle also. So following are the phases involved in STLC, such as test initiation. Second one is test planning. Third one is test design or test case design. Yeah. test execution, defect reporting, and defect tracking. Then test closer. So these are the phases involved in the software testing lifecycle. Test initiation, test planning, test design or test case design, test execution, defect reporting and defect tracking, then test closer. These are the six phases. Now understand my here. Software testing lifecycle is not the separate one. It is one of the activity under software development lifecycle. It is not the separate one. It is one of the activity in software development lifecycle. How it is? If I go for software development lifecycle, so what are the phases we have? Requirements collection, then requirements analysis, design, coding, testing. Sixth one, deployment and maintenance. Right. If I go for testing, so initially developers will perform the unit testing and integration testing. Initially, developers will perform the unit testing and integration testing. Then, separate testing team will perform the system testing. Then, client will perform the user access test. Now, this separate testing team, what are the activities from the beginning to end they perform? That is described in the our software testing life cycle of the testing team, which are activities are going to perform. In entire software development life cycle, 40% of activities are performed by separate testing team to validate the project. So majority of the role, who is going to play here? Test engineers in entire software development life cycle. Okay. Now what we have to know here. So test initiation, who is responsible? What are the activities they are going to perform? Test planning, who is the responsible? What are the activities he is going to perform? Then test design or test case design. Generally, test initiation phase. So, who is responsible means test manager is the responsible. Test planning means test lead is the responsible. So, test design, test execution, defect reporting. These three phases we are going to involve as a test engineer. Test closer again, test lead and test manager will stop the testing activities. Okay. Now, as a test manager, what he will do when he's going to start the activities? Generally, once initial agreements are completed, that means client accepted to give the project for us to go for testing. Application not given, the agreements are completed, then test manager will initialize the testing activities for a project. Okay. Here, test initiation. Who is the responsible test manager? At this level, what are the inputs for the test manager? Inputs for the test manager. Project is not given, so they given the requirement documents such as BRS and FRS documents. Okay, based on the BRS FRS documents. So test manager will start the initializing the testing activities for a project. So the output of this space, these are the inputs. IP means no inputs. Output of this space is test strategy document. Test strategy document. What type of information this test strategy document describes? So brief description about the testing approach. Overall, how we go for testing the project. To perform the testing activities, available resources. In our company, for defect reporting, what type of tools we have? For version controlling system purpose, what are the tools we have? For functionality testing, what are the tools are available? There's available resources and standards to be followed. That means when we go for testing, when you go for the testing, so if our team tested, there will be one defect for 10 function points. One defect for 10 function point. That much accuracy testing we are going to do. 100% bug free application we are going to deliver, but we have to say standards. So for 10 function points, there will be one defect. So like that, standards are going to be specified with respect to the organization. With respect to the organization. So this is what the so test strategy document. But who is going to prepare it is our test manager. In order to prepare the this test strategy document, what are the factors the manager will going to analyze? The very first one, he has to review the requirement documents such as BRS and FRS. After review on those documents, you need to understand the application functionalities. Which domain related application it is, how complex those functionalities will be, how much resource required for this. Next, analyze application analysis. That is very first activity. Second one, risk analysis. The resource risk, scheduled risk, support risk, technology risk. Resource risk. Resource risk means for current project, how many testings are required? How many testings are required? Presently, how many testers are available? Okay. Then scheduled risk. Scheduled risk means to test this project, how much time required, but what factors may affect the scheduled activities will be analyzed. There may be lack of communication among the development team to testing team. So in time they may not going to complete the task. That's one problem. Support to risk. Testing is are required. Any clarification about the FRS document? So the team is available or not, like domain expert or business analyst or client business person available or not to give the clarification for the testing needs. Okay. The risk analysis, resource risk, schedule risk, support risk. The next one, technology risk. So efforts estimation. How much time required? So what is the size of the project? How many functions are there in the application? So that how much time required? So how much resource required? How many testings are required? So how much cost it will take for us to test the project? These are the things has to be analyzed by the test manager. Based on that, he is going to prepare the test strategy document. So generally, at this level, the initialization phase. So two kind of documents are going to be there. One is project management plan. It is an optional. Second one is test strategy document. Test strategy document, project management plan, and test strategy document. What is that's a project management plan? It is a formal and approved document which describe that how we are going to execute, how we are going to monitor, and how do you control the testing activities for a project. How do you monitor how we are going to execute implementation, and how we are going to monitor the testing activities, and how if you got any issues how do you control it is. That is a project management describes. Let us see a project management plan. It is a formal and approved document that defines how the project is executed, monitored, and controlled while testing the project. About testing activities, but this document is an optional. Next one, test strategy document. So this is the document which will be prepared early stage of testing, the beginning of the testing activities. This document will be prepared. It is a high level document. That means not the detailed explanation. High level means brief description only. It is a high level document which is prepared early stage of testing. So what type of information going to provide? Test strategy describe the brief description about testing approach, how we go for testing activities for a project, what are the resources available, and standards to be followed with respect to the organization. In my company, how we do testing, that's what it going to describes. Test strategy document. The information in the test strategy document will be uniform throughout the project. That means build to build information not changes, version to version information not changes. So the static document we are going to call this kind of test strategy document. So as a test engineer, will you get this kind of document? So not this one. It is not an important for us as a test engineers. The management level, this document is required. Now, Simo, it is a high-level test document which is prepared early stages of testing. It describes the brief description about testing approach, available resources, and standards to be followed during testing. with respect to organization. Information the test strategy will be uniform throughout the project. That's a static document. After this, the second phase we have the test planning. Who is the responsible for the test planning? Test lead is the responsible. Earlier I said it in software development lifecycle, a clear FRS document is an essential for successful software testing. So software development. A clear FRS document is an essential for successful development of the project. Similar way, here test plan document also very important for testing point of view. So generally we can say the test plan document is like a route map for the test engineers. It is a route map for the test engineers. It is a route map for the test engineers. Everything it going describes what we need to test, when we have to go for testing, who are the responsible to go for testing, what are the timelines to go for the testing activities. These things are going to be described in a test plan document. First, try to understand these are not your responsibilities in the company. As a lead, what are the activities he is going to perform? I explain it is as a test lead roles and responsibilities I given. So for the test lead to go for test planning, what are the inputs for him is requirement documents such as BRS and FRS. Then build information. That means in present release, how many modules they are going to deliver. That information also will be collected by the test lead from the development team. Based on that, he will go on to prepare the test plan document. This test plan document describes that what to test, when to test, how to test, whom to test. So what to test means what features we have to test the application. When to test, timelines, scheduled activities. You want to prepare the test scenarios, how much time you have to spend. You want to prepare the test cases, how much time required. When we have to go for the execution, that the schedules are going to be given. How to test. So we know that there are a lot of testing techniques are there under system testing. But everything is not mandatory for every project. Based on the current project, we use some of the techniques. Right. So which techniques are required to test the project? That will be described. Functional testing or user interface testing. What type of testing required? Then whom to test? Whom to test means name of the test engineers. Who are the responsible to test the project? That is the test plan document describes. So what are the other activities as a lead is going to do means assume that in the real time as a lead he has to handle the 10 to 12 test engineers for the project. Okay. So under feel that you are the test lead. Under you there are 12 testers are there. If when 12 testers are there, you need to guide it is. They will work as per your guidelines. Anything goes wrong, they will going to blame you only, test lead. He said, we are doing, that's it. Okay. So, as a lead in that position, what we have to do? The very first activity should be so task preparation. For this current project, what are the testing activities are required? List out the tasks which we have to perform. Then team formation. If 12 members, you should not take into the one team. So based on the uh, skill set availability of the test engineers, try to divide the test engineers into the teams wise. So all the experts not in the one team. We have to share that according to their knowledge. They are going to create the teams. After team formation, which team, what type of testing activities they should perform? Which team, what type of activities should be performed? So that is the task allocation to the team members. Then test engineers maybe doesn't have the domain knowledge. Then we have to provide the training sessions for the test engineers. There is a training needs for the team members. Sometimes testers may not have the domain knowledge, which project we are going to test. Maybe you have the other domains. Now they are going to provide the some KT sessions on the domain knowledge. Okay, there is a training needs for team members. Then team management. Is there any issues? Is there any issues within the team members? Is there any ego issues? They have discussed. Then bug review. Suppose testers have identified any bugs. As a lead, you have to review and you have to approve it. Is the bug reviews. Some cases, so the testing is already busy with the assigned task. So we got the one or two few change requests from the client. In that scenario, we can do the we have to identify as a lead. You can identify the scenarios and test case. Mostly, your testers are going to do. Suppose testers are already engaged with the assigned task. One or two change requests you got, then test will take the responsibility to go for the scenarios. Same way, a review on the test scenarios and test cases. Whichever test scenarios and test case are prepared by the test engineers as a lead, he has to go for the review on that. Then preparation of the build summary report. Preparation of the build summary. That means once execution completed, overall how many test cases are passed, how many defects identified. So how many defects now it is resolved. This type of summary report. Conducting meeting within the team members. So weekly definitely we'll have the meeting to track the status of the last 5 days of the project. So meetings are going to be conducted and MOM preparation, minutes of meeting preparation, minutes of meeting preparation, meaning here. So during the meeting, on which points they discussed, those points will be recorded. That is the minutes of meeting preparation for the future reference purpose. Then coordinate the overall test team activities. Coordinate the overall test team activities. So same way, adding the test deliverables to configuration repository. As I said that earlier, test environment will be there on server. So as a test engineer, we need to get the project related documents. How do we get the project related documents? The lead is going to publish the documents into the server. From there, we are going to take it is. So these are the activities are going to performed by the our tester lead. Okay. Now, just 1 second. You see it is. I will come back. Okay. Now we'll see what is test plan document. So what are the components are there? Because once test plan document is prepared, that will be given to the test engineers to understand the his roles and responsibilities for the current project to perform. Test planning. During this phase, test lead, along with some of the senior test engineers in a project will be involving to design the test plan document. What is the main intention to prepare the test plan document? What base they are going to prepare based on the current release of the application. In present release, how many modules were going to deliver to the customer? Based on that, they have to go for the test planning. So that means test strategy, which I said, the static document, build to build information not changes. But when you go for the test plan document, so build to build information changes. So there is a reason test plan document we can call dynamic document when you compare to the test strategy document. Information test plan will be changes based on change request received from client. Information test plan will be changes based on CR means by change request received from the client. That's a dynamic document. What is test plan? See, as a test plan document should be very clear to understand the testing in it, what type of activities he has to perform, when he has to perform, what features he has to test. So, what is the scope we do here or testing? Like that, so it describes the everything detailed way. That's the reason we say it is a route map for the test engineers. Sima. Test plan describe the scope, approach, resources, and a schedule of testing activities. Schedule of testing activities. It identifies the when you see test plan document, you can able to identify the test items, the features to be tested, the testing task, required test environment to go for the execution. So who are the responsible? The name of the test engineer. And any risk and mitigations, possible problems, and what are the solutions for that. So, but when you are going to use the answer for the above testament, this kind of vocabulary you have to use. Now, about this each vocabulary, I explain more detailed way. So, easy to remember, I given this line, but interview point of view, don't use this line. So, in simple test plan, describe the what to test, how to test, whom to test, and when to test is not the right answer in the interview point of time. Only to understand the concept, I given simple way like this. So where this document is prepared, this document prepared in the Word document. For successful software testing, a clear test plan document is an essential. For successful software testing, a clear test plan document is an essential. What are the components are there in test plan? So assume that you are the test lead. So you are preparing the one test plan document, which has to give the guidance for your test engineers. So everything much in detail we have to provide. First thing, title. That is the name of the project. Then which project related test plan document it is. Suppose you are preparing test plan for the HDFC bank. Then title should be like this we have to give. HDFC Bank System Test Plan version 1.0. Any modification under version 2.0. Initial draft version 1.0. Right, that is the title. Second point will be history of the test plan document. That's a very common any project related document title and history. What is that history describes? Who prepared the test plan document? When it is prepared, so approved by, reviewed by, modification type, this kind of information with it in the history of the test plan. So it is available in the FRS document also, title and history, common it is. Then introduction. Under introduction, generally we have the four components. Project overview. That means brief description about the project. For which project you are preparing the test plan document. For which project you are preparing the test plan document. Then purpose of the test plan. Generally, when you are going to read any textbook, the beginning pages preface they are going to give. Author give the preface, right? So that information will be there. Scope of the test plan. Scope. In scope, out of scope. What type of testing activities will be covered in our test plan? What type of testing activities will not be covered? Then referred documents. Which documents are referred to prepare the test plan? These are the various information with the under introduction. First one, project overview. It defines a brief description about the project. That means for which project we are designing the test plan. Then purpose of test plan. We describe the objective or intention of test plan document. Objective or intention of the test plan document. Then referred documents. Describe the inputs to prepare the test plan and document. Which inputs? Mostly BRS, FRS documents are the inputs to prepare the test plan document. Then scope. In scope, it describes the possible testing activities under current test plan document because there will be different kind of test plan documents. Unit testing, who is going to perform? They have the unit test plan document. Who will perform the integration testing? They have the integration test plan document. Okay. So possible testing activities in current test plan and what type of testing activities are not covered in our test plan. Because we are doing system testing, okay. Will you go for the performance testing? No. Separate team is going to the perform testing. In scope means here functionality testing, user interface testing, usability testing, this thing the in scope. Out of scope means perform test will not be covered. Same way unit testing, integration testing also will not be covered. Those are the out of scope. The out of scope means unit testing, integration testing, perform testing, which we are not going to perform it. It is out of scope. So testing tools we have the Selenium, QTP task. In this course, which tool we are going to learn? Selenium. The in scope is Selenium. Out of scope is QTP task. Like this. Then features to be tested. Features to be tested. What it is, which modules and requirements we are going to the testing. So there are features to be tested. The features not to be tested, modules and requirements which are not required to test in the current release. There are features to be tested, features not to be tested. Features to be tested here, admin module we have to test. Features not to be tested, suppose banker, customer modules are not required to test. Why are those things are not required to test? Because those modules may be under construction, or those modules already you may tested in the previous test plan. Possibilities like that. Then entry and exit criteria, one of the important one. So what is that entry criteria? When to start test execution activity, when to perform dynamic testing, says the entry criteria. Exit criteria says that when to stop testing. Here, the lead is going to provide that information to the test engineers. When he is going to stop the testing for a project. Okay. So entry criteria generally there are 4 points. What is the entry? When to start test execution activity? So first, without preparing test cases, we can't start the execution, right? So that is the once all the test cases are prepared, a review is completed. Then build should deployed a test environment, but that build should pass the build verification test. Okay. So test environment setup should be provided. These 4 points checklist is satisfied, then you can start the test execution activity. Entry criteria, it describes the when to perform test execution. That is the dynamic testing. Following are the factors we consider in entry criteria, such as all the test cases are prepared and reviewed. Build should deploy a test environment staging server. Build should pass the build verification test. Build should pass the build verification test. There should be stable. Then required software and hardware configuration setup should be provided. So these are the checklist. If these 4 points should be satisfied to start the test execution. Then exit criteria. It describes that when to stop testing for a project. One of the difficult question to say. When to stop testing for a project. So in present scenario, no one knows that how much testing sufficient to validate the application. But some point they have to consider to stop the testing. There are 6 points. First thing, all the test cases should be executed at least once. So never going to pass all the test cases, but a majority of the test cases should be passed. Okay, majority of the test cases should be passed. Defects which are identified, those status either closed or deferred. When a client is satisfied during the user acceptance testing, defects ratio less than acceptance level. Like these factors they have to analyze. Based on that they are going to take the decision to stop the testing for a project. Like this one, all the test cases should be executed at least once. Whatever test case you prepared, those should be executed at least once. So 100% test cases are never going to pass, but make sure majority of the test cases should be passed. Like 90 to 95% of test cases should be passed. And defects which are identified, those status either closed and deferred or deferred. Closed means, ma'am, whatever defects identified, those defects are resolved by the developers. That is the closed. Deferred means defects are accepted developer, but they failed. In which functionality you identified defect, that functionality is not that much important for the client. Okay, so they will postpone the defect resolver for the next release of the application. Present release they are going to keep that one the release. That's a deferred we are going to call. Make sure the defects also less than acceptance level. When budget and time constraints, when it overflows, then they have to stop testing. Or when client satisfied during the user acceptance testing also. So these are the factors will be analyzed based on the test manager along with the test lead will take the decision to stop the testing for a project. Then suspension and resumption criteria. So when you started test case execution, some temporary problems you may going to get. In that scenario, you can suspend your execution. That's why it's saying it is suspension. When to suspend and when to continue the execution. There's a suspension and resumption criteria. As you know, the yesterday I said that if the build failed during the smoke test, build is unstable, we can't go for the execution. It defines the so when to suspend the testing activities in a project. Temporary we are going to suspend. When build failed in build acceptance test, is unstable, you suspend. When there is a change request from the client asking some changes in the requirement, then also you can suspend the execution. When we identified showstopper or critical or fatal defect, that means without solving such a defect, it is not possible to continue the execution. Maybe your application database connection lost, you can suspend. Environment issues, application not opening or application not closing, this type of things. Exceptions, sometimes when you're going to open the application you're going to get the Java exceptions, 500 error, 402 error, like this you are going to get. Page not found, server issues. So see this type of situations you got, you can suspend your application. The application is crashes. So generally the you are going to open the application, the older version of the browsers, application not going to open to crash, is going to open. So this type of scenarios if you got, you try to suspend your execution. Next one, when to continue the execution. Based on the problems they give the solutions here. Now suppose when patch failed, that means when build failed during the smoke test. So immediately we are going to get some patch files from development team, or within 2 3 hours modified build we are going to get. So when requirements are refined and baselined, when you got the change request, you suspend it. Now what is the solution? When our requirement documents are refined, updated, and review also completed, baselined, when critical defects got fixed, when environment issues got resolved, when exceptions got cleared, when application crashes got resolved. So we can continue the execution activities like this. And testing approach. Yes, we have a lot of testing techniques. Now, which techniques we have to use or which factor to validate will be described. So these are the testing activities we have to perform. It says that your lead is going to specify. According to that only we go for the test scenarios, test cases preparation, and test environment, which is the important one. Test environment, which is also called test bed. So required software and hardware configuration setup to perform the execution activity. Testing environment is a setup of software and hardware for the testing teams to execute test cases. In other words, it supports the test execution with hardware, software, and a network configured. What is the things are required to you to go for the execution describes. Generally, this kind of test environment will be designed based on the client work environment. What type of configuration system client is going to use. According to that, they prepare them, they design the test environment. Roles and responsibilities. That's the name of the test engineers. What are the activities they need to perform for the project will be described. So we have the different resources offshore, online, so offshore, so onshore resource, BA, how many business analysts are working for the project. This kind of information will be there. And schedule. That is the timelines. If you want to go for the test engineers, review on the requirement documents. So 3 days they have to complete. Risk and mitigations, possible problems at test environment, and what are the solutions for those problems. Sometimes application may not accessible from the staging server. Then to whom we need to concern it is. You got some issue when we are going to read the requirement documents. To whom we need to ask the clarification. This kind of information will be given. And test deliverables. What type of documents we have to prepare. End of the testing we have delivered to the client. So the test deliverables, execution report, defect profiles, test summary report, test cases review report. These are all things we have to, whenever reviews are completed, the corresponding documents you have to send to the your client end of the testing. Training needs. Testing point of view, what type of training sessions are required for the test engineers. So that information will be there. That is the finally the test plan document. Once it is prepared, this kind of test plan document that will be given to the test engineers. You have to go through the test plan document. What are the components are there? What I will do, I will going to share the one project related test plan document just to walk through the document how it is going to be to get an idea. Okay, so you are not going to prepare, but you are going to aware of the test plan document. That's the reason. So we can expect some questions, three questions from the test plan. What are the components are there? Some component, specific component they may ask. What is the entry and exit criteria? What is scope? What is the test environment? Test deliverables? This type of questions where they can ask in interview point of time. Okay. So that is the class for us today. So test initiation, test planning is completed. In a Monday, we are going to start actually as a test engineer. What are the roles and responsibilities? How we are going to perform those activities in practical way we are going to discuss. So your activities are going to start the next week it is. So by the end of that week, we are going to complete the manual testing portion for us. Okay. Thank you. So see you Monday. I will share the documents just to go through these documents also. Just to walk through the documents more. So what are the activities are going to be there to get an idea. Thank you everyone. See you on Monday.